Okay, guys, I'm actually really excited about this. I know you've seen the articles about the concept of a pill for COVID. And you know what? This idea is not so far-fetched, and I'm kind of excited about it. So first of all, let me say that we don't have a pill for COVID right now. Let me just be very clear, but that's what a lot of companies are working on. I'm going to explain what they're working on, how this would work, all the deal. I'm Dr. Jen Caudle. I'm a practicing family physician and on-air health expert and video creator. So let me just start by saying a pill for COVID. Wow, what a revolutionary concept, right? We don't have a lot of things to give people when they have COVID. We have remdesivir, but that's an IV medication given to people who are hospitalized. We have monoclonal antibodies, but that still has to be given by IV infusion, and that's for people who are at high risk for progression. We don't have a pill for COVID, and boy, would that be super helpful. So the idea is that a lot of companies, or not a lot, but a few companies right now are working on this pill for COVID. Many of these are antiviral medications. When I say antiviral, it sounds just like, it is just like what it sounds like. Antiviral, meaning these types of medications keep viruses from replicating, keep them from spreading basically in the body. That's what antivirals do, and they are so useful. By the way, we have antivirals for other conditions, other viral conditions, such as we use antivirals for hepatitis. We use antivirals for herpes. We use antivirals for the flu, okay? Tamiflu, that's an antiviral. We use antivirals for HIV. So the concept of an antiviral medication, the class, that is not a new class of medication. The concept of applying that to COVID, well, of course that's new because, COVID is new. So the idea here is that companies are looking to see if they could find a antiviral, because remember, COVID is a virus, so that's why we're looking at this class of medications. They're looking to see if they could find an antiviral medication that would prevent someone who's been infected with COVID from getting super sick with it. Now, that sounds familiar, right? In terms of the flu, Tamiflu, which is, by the way, just one example of a medication, and not advocating for that brand, I'm just saying, you might recognize the name. We give Tamiflu soon after somebody develops symptoms of the flu. Why? To keep them from getting sicker, to shorten the duration of their illness, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. That is the same concept with these antivirals for COVID infection. That if someone were to be infected with COVID, that early on, perhaps, if they took an antiviral, one that we still have yet to find, that their symptoms could be less severe, they could be a shorter duration, it could keep them from being in the hospital, it could help them recover, any or all of that stuff. That's the idea. And like I said before, y'all, I'm excited about this concept. Now, let me see what else I gotta tell you about this. Because I have all my notes, because this is super, super exciting. All right. So the other part that's exciting about this is that it's a pill, right? The other treatments I mentioned, remdesivir, monoclonal antibodies, those are IV, intravenous, so not super convenient, also expensive, but also for specific populations of people. Think about if we had a pill that we could give somebody who came down with COVID symptoms or tested positive with COVID. I mean, look how much easier it could be for a lot of people throughout the country, even the world, to get a potential treatment for their COVID infection, and maybe even quicker, right? So that's super, super important. And the other thing I should say is this does not replace vaccination, okay? Vaccination is still our most important sort of, our most important sort of weapon against COVID infection. Get vaccinated, please. But it's another tool that could potentially be added to our toolkit, right? So in addition to remdesivir, monoclonal antibodies, and whatever else we give for COVID, right, to try to help at least with the symptoms, we could potentially also have an oral or by-mouth pill that you could take that would maybe help lower, lessen, shorten the duration of your symptoms, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. Super, super exciting. Let's see here. And also, and the other things too could help is in addition to being another tool is, we know that some people are not vaccinated, which of course we want everyone who can be vaccinated to get vaccinated, but this would be certainly something that would help people who are not vaccinated, but it also would help people who are vaccinated, who have maybe decreasing protection, because sometimes over time vaccination coverage and protection does decrease, right? It could potentially help any and all of us. Once again, the specifics about how long the medication would be that we would have to take, how many pills, how many days, all this stuff needs to be worked out. There are clinical trials that are literally happening as we speak. There are a number of companies that are working on this, and they're working on different combinations or singular pills of things, different types of antivirals. We just have to see what ends up working, if anything ends up working, and hope that it does. Because if that's the case, man, this could really change the game. It certainly, for a lot of us, could make COVID infection a lot less scary if we knew we could take something if we got COVID to hopefully lessen the symptoms, the duration, the severity, etc., etc. Once again, there's a lot more unknowns than we have knowns. There are clinical trials out there. I'm always a fan of research and science, and clinical trials is how we learn what works for whom, when, where, and how. So if you guys, if it's in your heart, consider joining a clinical trial to learn more about this and to help us, the rest of us, learn more about this, and the researchers and the scientists. That is actually it's a gift, actually, I think, to contribute to science in a way. Not for everybody, but just throwing that out there. But what I would also say is, once again, for right now, continue getting your vaccines. It's your best protection. Continue doing social distancing and all the other protective measures that we have, and continue using those. Also, make sure that if you have symptoms of COVID, that you're getting tested, you're quarantining, you're doing everything you need to do to keep yourself safe and other people around you safe. But I have to tell you guys, I'm not always super excited, although some might argue that I am often excited about things, but I am kind of excited about this concept, I have to say. So we have more to learn. These are the notes as I have them right now. We will see what comes out in the wash, what doesn't come out in the wash. We will keep our fingers crossed that something does. Guys, I am Dr. Jen Caudle. I'm a practicing family physician. I'm also an on-air health expert and video creator. Guys, I do have a group on Facebook called I Got the COVID Vaccine. Make sure you join that group to learn more from other people about getting the vaccine. I learn from people who are getting their kids vaccinated, all that good stuff. For those of you who are on YouTube, you can find that group in the description of this video, and on Facebook, just search the group I Got the COVID Vaccine. Also, for those of you on Facebook, I have my other groups called Healthy Living with Dr. Jen and Dr. Jen Superstars, my subscription group. For those of you who send stars on Facebook, I respond to you personally. Thank you in advance. Guys, I'm Dr. Jen. If you're not liked and follow my page, please do. Keep it locked here. I'll be back with more information.